Wakey, wakey. Good morning, and welcome to KUTV Rise. Today, it's your best morning breakfast show on television screens right about now. So if you want to be having an exciting, entertaining, and educative morning, you definitely know that this is the exact place you need to be every single Tuesday. Actually, every single Monday and Tuesday when KUTV Rise Today airs to you. Yesterday was Art and Culture Monday with Karen Blessing. I'm hoping that those who tuned in there got a little bit of information or insight into the world of art and culture and what is developing all around the world. Today, we switch it up a little bit and take a look at matters of business, the economy, and technology. This is Biashara Tuesday, where we get to see how we can get our haba to jaza kibaba, just like that song that brought us into the show was saying there. Of course, profit making and business is of core importance to this show. So we are trying to have a look at what developments are happening in the world of politics, global economics, and even social issues that should be of concern to you so that you know how you can inform your movements in work and also in your places of business. A tweet to start our morning today, of course, looking at the economic situation. Here, Njeri Waridi is saying, I think we as Kenyans really need to talk about how KE is run, that is Kenya. How can we work so hard every day and barely make enough to survive? Who is benefiting from all this hard work that we put in? Is this right? So I'll read that again. I think we as Kenyans really need to talk about how Kenya is run, or how KE is run. How can we work so hard every day and barely make enough to survive? Who is benefiting from all this hard work that we are putting in? Is this right? So that's a question that she has put out there on Twitter, and I think I'm going to have a conversation around this today. So hit me up on the SMS numbers / WhatsApp platforms and also on all our social handles at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Kenya, and tell me, is the amount of money that you're making in this economy enough for you to survive? I don't need to know how much it is, 7,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. I just like to know a million. I think I just left there around the amount of money we know, which is the average amount of money people are making in Kenya, below 50,000 bob. I think averagely we are making 30,000 Kenyan shillings according to the statistics last year, but I'll have a look at that and see how the update is looking like. But whatever amount of money you're earning from business or employment, profits or salaries, tell me how much of it is enough for you to survive, or is it enough for you to survive? Is it over and above what you expect, or is it below what you think you should be making at around this time? And how are you surviving, really, honestly? We'd love to know, as Njeri here is asking, who's benefiting from all this hard work that we are putting in as Kenyans. Actually, a response to that, which I can maybe highlight before we move on to other matters, a very interesting scenario, an analogy that has been drawn here parallel to ants. So that is human beings to ants. So you see how, ants and bees work around their queen. So here, the Albany on Twitter is responding and saying that when he is in the CBD, when I'm in the CBD, I always see people rushing to and from jobs from morning till late in the evening. People are so busy, and I get to ask myself, what if we work the same way as ants to feed the queen while we keep dancing the same dance every single day? So question, just like Njeri there asked, who is benefiting from all this hard work? So who's the queen that we are performing this dance to feed out of all this hard work that we are putting in? All those matters, I'd love to hear what your comments are and what your thoughts are, especially on the question I asked there, whether what you're making from business or from work is enough for you to survive in this current economy. Speaking about matters of the economy, the Kenyan shilling continues to weaken against the US dollar, and taxes are going to be heavily the conversation that is being put on the boardrooms of the Kenya Kwanza government. Even as we see a slowdown of the economy. Into the year, the World Bank and other economists are speculating that the growth of the economy is going to see a slowdown, even as we try and recover from so many issues, the COVID-19 pandemic and also a tense political period last year as we headed to the general elections. Growth this year is expected to be at 5% in 2023, even as we also hit the debt ceiling or we surpass the 9 trillion debt ceiling in December of 2022. That is something that I saw here this morning detailed on the dailies. I'll be actually finding it later and going into the details. But 9 trillion mark has already been surpassed, and we're trying to see what the Kenya Kwanza government is going to do to, of course, balance out the deficit and also patch up what has been put there in the budget of this year, that is 2022-2023 financial year. The debt ceiling there, as I said, 9 trillion. And businesses in the country are also complaining, of course, of the tough economic situation, high interest rates in banks, electricity tariffs expected to be going up into the year. And this, of course, is affecting many issues of operation, production, and even expansion. So it seems that even the businesses in the country will not be expanding, not even realizing higher margins of profit as compared to last year. And this, of course, will be trickling down to overall growth of the economy. And we'll be having a look at that as well. I've mentioned there electricity prices, and KPLC is still conducting public hearings and insisting that they have to increase those electricity tariffs as soon as they can. They held meetings or public engagement forums in Garissa yesterday, and we're hoping that they can be doing that all over the country. They'll be moving to Nakuru, Eldoret, and also holding the same in Nairobi. So if you're someone who's interested, a stakeholder or a shareholder, you can get to put your feedback through to KPLC in this public engagement forums as they try and see if it makes sense to Kenyans as they sensitize and say, of course, some of those reasons they're giving for the need to increase the electricity tariff include the need to expand infrastructure and also the cost of supplying electricity, which is going up as according to what KPLC is saying or the management has been saying in those public engagement forums. A relief, maybe a bit of positive information that I can be saying here. I think we've dwelled so much on the negatives. It is an exciting time for farmers in the country as the government, of course, gives out the subsidized fertilizer that has been promised even from before in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. We expected the price of one bag of fertilizer to drop down from way above 6,000 bob to around 3,000 bob, and farmers all over the country will be realizing this, even as we saw a couple of places in the country, including Eldoret and Nandi, where a number of farmers showed up at the National Cereals and Produce Board headquarters to pick up some of those bags of cement which they have been able to acquire through the government. I think farmers are receiving a text message so that they know which number they are, how many bags of fertilizer they've been awarded by the government. This subsidized fertilizer, which is going for 3,500 per bag of fertilizer, which is a 50 kg bag. Remember before that it was around 6,000 bob, 7,000 bob in other places. So select counties have been able to realize this, and this is government's bid to lower food prices in the long term. So that's a bit of positive news, but still in that same breath, farmers are complaining that the cost of transportation of these fertilizers is extremely high. The amount of money they have to spend to go all the way to these offices or the NCPB headquarters to ensure that they're getting their bags of fertilizer. The delays that are being experienced, I think the queues are extremely long. Some of them saying that the time gap, that is the 7-day period for them to get to pick their bags of fertilizers, is not enough and might lapse before they're able to realize this beneficial offering from the government. So those are some of the developments which are happening there in the world of agriculture, and we'll be highlighting what will be happening and where exactly as a farmer you should be looking out for in the next phase of the government availing this subsidized fertilizer to more farmers. CS for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, saying that they are expecting that even non-subsidized fertilizer will be retailing at 3,500 and not just what the government is offering. So I don't know what kind of measures have been put there, but if you're a farmer who's privy to this information, please tell us that on all the social platforms, as I said, and also the SMS/WhatsApp numbers. Raila versus the state, the biggest story of the political world here in Kenya. For the past 2 weeks, actually, opposition leader Raila Odinga has been forming a caucus called Movement for Defense of Democracy in his bid to, of course, try and push the Kenya Kwanza government into answering some of those issues that he's raising or some of those concerns that he feels should be addressed. We'll be having a look at those from all the way in IEBC, matters of the Constitution Amendment Bill of 2020 and the 2022 Constitution Amendment Bill, which has already been passed to law by President William Ruto. And this is in, of course, how it will be done in constituting the IEBC. Raila and Ruto already have a showdown there, and in other matters, of course, of tax hunt-down and crackdown, where the Kenya Kwanza government is going after those who have been given tax waivers since January of 2018. The Treasury CS has actually been given an ultimatum by the majority leader that is in Parliament buildings, Kimani Ichung'wah, who's requiring that the Treasury CS avails the names of individuals and companies which have been awarded tax waivers since 2018 of January. It feels that it is targeted towards a few individuals who are there or who might have benefited from the Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga handshake, but he has come out to say that this is not targeted to any particular individual, but it's just a constitutional mandate that has been given to the government to ensure that every single Kenyan is playing their part in paying the due taxes. So we'll be having a look at that, Raila versus Ruto versus the state, even as speculations are being spun around in political circles of whether Kenya Kwanza government, specifically William Ruto, is out for a vendetta against President Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga, and this is following their fallout in the administration of the Jubilee government between 2013 and, of course, last year in 2022. More of developments happening in the papers this morning from The Standard, The Daily Nation, and The Business Daily. We'll be highlighting those and also going even into in-depth analysis in the newspaper review section that always comes to you here on Biashara Tuesday. So grab your papers. The Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily is only what I have here. So we have the Star out there, the People's Daily, and also the East African Standard. So get a look at those as well. Richard Kest, who is a journalist with the CNN, a world-renowned journalist, once said that journalism is verified gossip. So this morning I'll be having a look at various pieces of gossip that have been detailed here so that we can separate chaff from seed and see what you can look at that is indeed going to affect you. So tell me whether there's pieces of gossip you see or facts and information, and I'll be happy to engage with you here on Biashara Tuesday. We have a couple of guests who are coming through as well on our launch section. So remember to send in your questions. Today we are having a look at various issues, and I'll be giving you the names of those individuals who will be engaging with me and also what areas they are focusing on. And if it's something of interest to you, of course, please tell us and let us know how exactly we can be informative to you in your bid to get profit or, of course, work around what is happening in this economy. My name is Richard OKENYE. Tag me at Richard_OKENYE. Tag KUTV as well. Remember to follow through to our live stream at KUTV Kenya on Facebook and also on YouTube, KUTV Kenya Live. This show will be live all the way to 10 in the morning. So it's 3 hours packed with a lot of information and, of course, a bit of entertainment so that we are entertained as we get to learn more about business, the economy, and technology. Welcome to the show. Tell me where you're tuning in from as I go out and have a look at what's happening on those roads, give you a bit of caution, the alternative routes that you can use where there's a lot of traffic to avoid current traffic and transport conditions in Nairobi and also anywhere else in the country where you can get to inform me, and then we'll be getting back to more matters of business on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Welcome to the show. Let's kick it off.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. the amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is the level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
ZACAM is an individual or a group of men and women who believe in research and innovation, and especially in a medical field, where especially we are dealing in orthopedic care. ZACAM has come up with a product or an innovation called the hip spiker table. So this hip spiker table, we came up here in locally, and we are producing it here in our workshop. We've also come up with another innovation called the fracture chair table. This one is normally used for fractures, especially for adults.
This is my jam down.
I say man me, I will never give up. Na hata nikisota away. Show me something.
Everybody wanna feel like me.
You was like a river.
Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it.
Hear me when I say just like.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Kurunzi ya kilimo huimarisha afya na uchumi endelevu katika jamii. Ni msingi mkubwa wa kipindi Boresha Kilimo. Kipindi hiki kinajikita katika teknolojia ya kisasa, utafiti na ushirikishaji wadau wa kilimo kuonyesha shughuli mbalimbali shambani. Kwa suluhu ya utoshelevu wa chakula, tazama Boresha Kilimo.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have boxercise, we'll have kata box. Every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked, make sure we keep fit, and that's it. From me to you, let's be fit.
Tunakula usiku, tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Ndio hiyo. Kama
shop piga shada kuna giza sikinize tujinize weke story kata maji pia shada liko na sio nikosa msuko si stress kama rende kisha basi nipe najua ni
You are my mom, big up. Brother, you are a deliver, big up. Sis, big up. Shows, mama, big up. Oh yeah, wase wote. Okay, my principal, big up.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
All right, we are back live on air at KUTV Kenya. Please tag us at KUTV Kenya at Richard_OKENYE, and I'll be able to respond to you. And also, if you leave a comment actually on the Facebook live stream or also on YouTube, I'll be able to see that. Interact with the rest of the fans as well. Alafu, tell me what you think about what we are about to discuss here. I am joined with Robin Karani, who's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He'll be helping me in going through some of these headlines and also the interesting stories of the day and how exactly that's going to affect business. But remember, politics is usually the biggest story on every single newspaper in the morning. We'll be seeing how we can balance it, politics and business. I'll have to escape here. Mzee Robin anatuambia vipi, how do we translate this into our activities in the near future? So maybe just roughly to go through the headlines first, and then we can get to hear a bit from Robin and where he practices, how he practices it, and if you can reach out to him, ile unasema wakili a quick one. So in the headlines this morning, before we get to Robin, Daily Nation, Form 1 pain as schools defy state. So that's the biggest story here on the Daily Nation. Form 1s are reporting back to school, and some principals have ignored Ministry of Education's guidelines by turning schools into money-minting businesses. It's exploiting parents through exorbitant prices of items such as uniforms, imposing extra levies, and another hidden charges. So Form 1 pain as schools defy states. You can see here a couple of students who are headed to school in Nyeri County, and of course reporting Form 1 admission has been smooth all across the country is what the Nation team is saying here, but we'll be of course reading some of those sentiments in just a few. That's the Daily Nation for you. The Standard, Raila's movement signals the end of Azimio. Raila's movement signals the end of Azimio. So the Azimio coalition's future looks dim. According to the Standard's headline here, opposition leader Raila Odinga has formed a caucus called Movement for Defense of Democracy. Interesting, because I think Robin Karani here is also affiliated to that movement. He'll be telling us what the Movement for Defense of Democracy is. But here, the Standard asks a question, a very important one that I'll be hearing from Robin. Will it gain currency like those before it? Remember, there have been a couple of movements before, even under Raila's various umbrellas, from CORD to NASA to Azimio, from ODM back then, actually, when it was before a coalition. So here is a new one, the Movement for Democracy, for Defense of Democracy. Will it gain currency just like those before it? Raila's movement signals the end of Azimio. Does it, though? We'll be also having a look at that headline. The Business Daily, mystery of missing 432 billion Kenyan shillings in China imports on KRA books. So trade data that has been published by KRA differs in as of course of the official data that has been reported by KRA is raising now concerns of the scale of tax evasion that was witnessed last year in 2022. In the election year of 2022, it seems that in the first 10 months of that year, there is 432 billion Kenyan shillings in Chinese imports that cannot be accounted for. So those are the top 3 stories that are there in the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, and the Standard. So we'll be having a look at that with Robin Karani. Karibu sana mzee.
Thank you very much.
How's it going?
It's well.
Yeah.
I think I will say a happy new year. I've not been here this year.
Ah, yeah.
So I can say a happy new year.
Walisema past January 7th, people shouldn't be saying happy new year.
No,
anymore.
for people who engage in public policy, our year starts in July, so I'm still well.
Okay. So bado uko within the
within the period, yes.
Right, of course.
And
Welcome
again,
to the show, I think.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
Yeah.
I think we can begin by noting and putting our thoughts and prayers to the people in Turkey and Israel.
Yeah.
And showing our solidarity with them.
Of course.
And
And
at the end
maybe
of the day, we are still human beings. And
yeah.
That's where we begin.
Right.
Yes.
So condolences, of course, to those who've lost people in the biggest earthquake that has been felt in Turkey and Syria in over a century, they're saying. So it's so far a death toll of 2,300 people as of yesterday, an earthquake which is happening over at Turkey and Syria and being felt as far as Greenland. The government of Kenya yesterday coming out to say, as of course, that no reports of any Kenyan losing their lives in this earthquake, but we'll be following up that story today as well. So that's a good note to, I think, start from sending out our condolences.
Okay.
For the first-time viewers here on KUTV Rise today and people who have not met you before, maybe a little introduction into who you are. You're an advocate of the High Court. What part of law do you practice? Ndo nikisema akuikwa na wakili, I know exactly where I need your help from.
So again, my name is Robin Muremi Karani. I am an advocate of the High Court. I am what they call a GC, or a General Counsel.
Mhm.
You can consult me for anything.
Right.
I practice in a lot of areas, mostly along this road. I have offices both in Morang and Nairobi, so I practice on that corridor. I engage a lot in public interest litigation, so that's where they know me from. That's how I ended up vying, but the votes, I believe, were misdirected to another place. And it is still well.
Are you planning public engagement forums for that case?
I am planning my own people's barazas to discuss that matter, but we have to go with what our leader says.
Yeah.
And he says mambo bado.
Okay, mambo bado. I think that's a very good note to pick it up from. Let's have a look at what the Standard here is saying. And you were telling me earlier that Movement for Defense of Democracy, iko ndani kabisa. And here the Standard on the front page is saying that this new caucus, which is the Movement for Democracy, for Defense of Democracy. I'm seeing here the uniforms of members of that youth resistant movement at Kamukunji grounds in Kibera, that is Nairobi, on Sunday here. They look a bit like military regalia. I think that's usually the way that youth resistant movements all over the world try to fashion themselves as. But this new movement, what is the direction? What is Raila's vision for the future, and will it gain currency with time, or is it just another one of those movements?
Okay, Benjamin Franklin once said that, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I will learn. And I believe that's the same script that His Excellency Raila Odinga is reading from, that for most of what he has been forming, if you look at the logo of MDD, it quite resembles where he began.
Okay.
It looks like it's tending to go back to the Ford Kenya logo, from where all this began, where he began his youth. And now he looks like he's trying to involve us, the youth, in his movement and his agenda for the country. And from it, we can learn a lot and we can create our own platform.
Is it about the youth, or is it about what he feels he is owed by the state, and of course following up with the August 2022 results? Of course, because the biggest thing that Raila Odinga has been saying in this public engagement forums is that President William Ruto is occupying State House unlawfully out of an election where he feels that he was conned out of. So is this going to yield another handshake? Because I remember also during the NRM, the National Resistance Movement, once Raila Odinga shook his hands with President Uhuru Kenyatta, we all remember that that was the end of the road for NRM. So is it about the youth, or is there a direction that he's pursuing on a personal level?
Okay, I don't believe so. When he was forming NRM in the beginning, it seemed to be more from the leadership side. It was where you would see the likes of Miguna talking all over. But when he creates MDD, it looks more of a youth outfit more than the leaders and the elected leaders themselves. But looking at it, I don't see what is, if at all the MDD was not forming any traction, or was not gaining any traction, it would not be getting the headlines that it's getting. I believe your only stones are not thrown at an empty house. There has to be something for you to throw your stones at. So what they are doing is actually falling into his trap. Yes, I see the point of it being like a metamorphosis from Azimio, because even when NRM came, it's when NASA subsided, also, and the whole agreement about NASA became null and void, quote unquote. So it's also a way of locking out the succession movement, because we still believe and we hold the view that this is a one-term government, and once they're exposed to how they are and what they have been, we shall exterminate them from the political scene. After 2027, Kenyans will be done with this whole lot as it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So here they are saying that Azimio, of course, after having held rallies in Kibera on Sunday, will be heading out to Machakos on Friday before proceeding to Busia County on Sunday, and later move to other regions across the country. So I'm seeing something a little bit different from how it was during the National Resistance Movement, because I see now Raila Odinga is taking this to different parts of the country. I remember back then it was just a boycott of products and services which was happening within Nairobi County with the Tear Gas Monday, and of course all of those activities that were Raila Odinga's way of saying that he will not be recognizing the Jubilee government which was in power by then. So I think this time him involving different counties and youth from different regions could be, of course, true as to what you've said. It's a different sort of outfit as compared to focusing on the elected leaders and maybe the leaders of the this Azimio coalition. A bigger question, maybe outside of this movement that has been fashioned for the youth, that is the MDD, as I think it's a way for the Azimio people to try to get it to be catchy. MDD.
No, when I was in high school, I studied just across here. When I was in high school, we used to have our own a group, an outfit within the school called DDC. Okay. It means Double Dishers Club, the people who would go for second
double
rounds.
DDC, Double Dishers Club. All right, so the MDD is here, and of course, the CS Interior has already responded to that outfit, saying that he's allowing the Azimio side to organize any picketing, demonstrations, and rallies as long as it does not disrupt any businesses. And we're hoping that anyone who shows up for these rallies, public engagement forums, maintains decorum and peace, and law and order shall be realized. Of course,
I think
Interior
that is
CS,
the catch.
Yeah.
Moving, I think we can try to differentiate the two, because Kindiki seems to be addressing Azimio, and we are saying MDD is killing Azimio. So he might be addressing the wrong crowd at the end of the day.
He should be talking to MDD and not to Azimio. Right. Of course, there are sentiments by Robin, of course, responding to Interior CS Kithure. I was going to ask a question, outside of the NRM and MDD. This being a way, of course, of Raila Odinga addressing President William Ruto. And President William Ruto is saying that this is just a backdoor means of getting a handshake. Could it be a means of Raila Odinga securing another handshake? As I said there, once Raila Odinga shook hands with Uhuru Kenyatta, NRM was done with, NASA was already done with, and now we slowly transitioned into Azimio.
There's a certain notion that what Raila Odinga has been doing in this country since 1992 is aimed at his own personal gain.
Is it a notion, though?
It
because
is a notion.
During President Kibaki, he did shake hands, technically, right? And they shared the government. During President Uhuru Kenyatta, he shook hands with Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, with President Ruto, will it be a notion or just a culmination of a trend?
I say that because I don't believe we are standing here talking of Azimio and Kenya Kwanza being in coalition, so being a number of parties. There was a time there was only one party, a party that the current president belonged to and actively participated and campaigned for. So we have multi-party democracy. If that is the cost of Raila working with Moi, is us getting multi-party democracy, then so be it. If the point of us having a 9-point growth in our economy, the highest we have ever gotten was in 2009 when both Kibaki and Raila were working together. If that is what it takes for Kenya to grow in that well, then let Kibaki and Raila work together. If working with Uhuru is what has gotten us to a place where we have a sham of an elections and we do not have chaos, then let Raila work with Uhuru. But I am not believing, and I do not take the notion that when Raila Odinga talks of our high cost of living, because it is there. When Raila talks about electoral injustices in Kenya, because it is there, that we only seem to respond by saying that after all this, he will get a seat and everything will be settled. No, there are some certain aspects of principle that are engraved in our country because of what Raila does.
All right. So that is the direction that Raila Odinga might be taking. Of course, electoral reforms and political changes that he's been aiming for since, as you said, the multi-party democracy times, with Kibaki, the growth in the economy, even with Uhuru Kenyatta, a few of projects that they did together. So if that's how it's going to happen for us to realize benefits, then let them go ahead. A question maybe outside of political debate, just on a personal level. Yes. Would you be shocked if, given that Ruto and Raila Odinga have worked together before 2007, Ruto was Raila's frontman, would you be shocked if they shook hands right now and formed a new coalition?
I don't believe Ruto and Raila shaking hands will be the solution to all this, because I believe even the Kenya Kwanza people know that the handshake that they are actually afraid of is the handshake between Ruto and the former president.
Okay.
That is the concern, because we made the former president the object of aggression in the 22 elections and saying that everything will be better once he leaves.
Right.
And now he has left and nothing is getting better. In fact, things are getting worse. And so people are getting to that point of saying, if Uhuru was the problem and he's not here, and you're still going on with this. So Kenyans are really listening to to President Uhuru and anything he might say. Now, if you look at what is happening on the political scene, both teams, the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza, are looking to lean on the western side this weekend.
Okay.
And that is based on Magoha's barriers. And it is believed that the president might say something.
Okay.
And both teams might need to react to what the president might say. And so my thinking around it is that the game plan for Ruto would not be to shake hands with Raila. It would be to gain now to shake hands with Uhuru once more and get this over and done. Because we can say the truth. We really love Baba. But that 22 contest was a contest between Ruto and Uhuru, and who could manipulate the system more. I say that without any fear. If they want to arrest me, they can arrest me. Because I say that because I won a case against the IEBC. It's called Petition E160 of 2022. And our argument there was that the IEBC had been, quote-unquote, selecting candidates and not registering candidates. The process of selecting who is on the ballot is not the work of the IEBC. If you want to be on the ballot, it is your right to be on that ballot. I want to ask this question to you today.
Okay.
In 2013, we had 8 presidential candidates.
Okay.
From the 8 presidential candidates, 3 of them were independent candidates. The voter turnout was over 80%. In 2017, we had 8 presidential candidates. The voter turnout was around 79%. There were 2 independent candidates. In 2022, we had 4 presidential candidates, no independent candidate for president, and at the end of the day, we had less than 60% voter turnout. Does it show you something?
So you're saying that, or you're insinuating that the IEBC selected or locked out some of the people who wanted to run for presidency?
In policy, there's a strategy that we call voter suppression. Voter suppression is making sure that the voters who would come and vote for a particular thing will not turn out to vote.
Okay.
We had the issues. It is only in Kenya, and I say that without any fear of introduction, it is only in Kenya that you do an exam today and get 79%. Then you do an exam tomorrow and get 65%, and we call you a hero. That is Chebukati for you. Chebukati conducted the 2017 election, got 8 presidential candidates, got a 79% voter turnout. Then he conducted 2022 election, had 4 presidential candidates, and had a less than 60% voter turnout. And we come out here and clap for him and call him a hero. That does not make sense to anyone. Because what you have done, we had the same issues talking in January before the elections about the youths are not turning out to vote. It is him who created this solution. For the voters not to turn out to vote, it was said that for you to vote, for you to transfer your vote from place A to place B, you had to come with a proof of residence in place B to prove that you are a resident there for the last 6 months so that you can transfer your vote there. That is not the work of the IEBC. There is nowhere in the constitution that says that you need to be a resident in place A to vote in A. If you want to register your vote in Mandera, go register your vote in Mandera. IEBC should not be concerned with where do you stay and how do you intend on going to vote. That was the first mistake. We called it out, people ignored. The second mistake, they came to us independent candidates. I was an independent candidate in that election. When we were vying as independent candidates, you are asked for supporters' signatures. What IEBC then goes back and does is it goes back and says, now for every supporter of signature you bring, you give me a copy of their ID.
So how many IDs are you going to be
collecting? And then they come to the independent candidates, now the presidential candidates, and they collect all your data. Once you're out, they call you at 11:50 when the deadline is at 2. You can ask Ruben Kigame. They sent him an email at 11:55 saying that we have found a problem with one of the booklets, something that is of no use, just so they can remove you from that ballot. It was Chebukati's own doing in untangling and doing all this to what we had as a result. And that is what we have been trying to show Kenyans, that we can talk, leave the political shenanigans aside of who got what, how they were stolen. I am just trying to show you a systematic way of how Chebukati played with our 2022 elections, and the decision was
And
not
we
on
moved
us,
on.
and we moved on, and we have been asked to move on. That is how the Kindikis of
So you're
this
saying
world
that there
want.
is a case to be presented by Azimio. It's not just another Raila Odinga moment where he looks back at elections and feel like it was unfavorable. There were a lot of systemic issues even within the IEBC and with the whole electoral process.
I say that because when he was forming NRM in 2017,
Mhm.
it looked to be an ODM affair.
All right.
That is how he ended up going to swear himself in, and Mudavadi and Kalonzo did not show up.
Mm.
But with the MDD, he's attracting people who were not previously on his side. I
Right.
have just explained to you that I was not on either of the sides
Mm.
during the election. But I noted, and I have always insisted, that Chebukati is a fraud and he played us.
Mhm.
And he has been doing that. Now, with the point where the president calls him a hero, I disagree with that. And the point where Raila Odinga comes out and says exactly what that man is made of, I support that.
Right.
And I will move towards that. And without them noticing, they are making more and more people move to this side. Because we can say 8 million Kenyans in the register did not
show up to vote. Yes, that's true.
And those are many than what the president himself got.
Right.
And those are the people that you want to convince that we have to move on. Move on from what?
Right. If you add those who didn't show up plus those who voted for Raila Odinga, that's a very huge
Yes.
number of people to convince. to
And
move
then
on.
there's another 7 million voters who did
Not even register. Right. That's true.
So you have 3/4 of the country that didn't vote for you.
Mhm.
And you want to be the one to create the rules for the election and tell us to move on.
It's funny because on the ground, that's what it's like. There are people who voted for Kenya Kwanza, President William Ruto. There are people, a huge number of millions, 8 million people still who voted for Raila Odinga. Another 8 million who didn't vote. Another 7 million who didn't register to vote. That's how it looks like on the ground.
Yes.
But when you come to the political parties arena, it seems that the Kenya Kwanza government and, if we just focus on UDA and Kenya Kwanza, they're gaining more support from the other side. We've seen people jump ship from the Azimio side. We've seen people jump ship from Jubilee and even independent candidates that you've been mentioning. So
I wish to point out
how do we reconcile this where politicians are moving towards President Ruto, but here on the ground, according to the picture that is being painted by Raila Odinga and of course the side of Azimio, is that Kenyans are moving away from the Kenya Kwanza government. How do we reconcile these two links?
Article 1 of the Constitution says that all sovereign power belongs to the people.
Mhm.
We are those people, and we have that sovereign power. But unfortunately, we have a way of delegating our sovereign power to legislatures and to the executive, and these goons that are in the government right now have taken advantage of that to show us. I say that because of one thing. What is electoral fraud? Electoral fraud is me voting for you because of a certain thing, and then you get into the office and doing a completely opposite thing. That is one man called Hassan Ali Roba.
Mhm.
He created a party, was in Azimio, had Azimio brand all over. Once the people elected him, he moved. Same thing with Ocheng from MDG. His is MDG or something of the sort. And that is the definition of how low we have come as a society. That you can tell people they elect you on these grounds just so that you can get in and go on the other side.
Right.
And I bring that to even what is happening right now. What we are having with this government is a government that is still in campaign mode, doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to deal with whatever it has. It got used to blaming others than when it got to them, now they don't know what
They
to
have
do.
no one else to blame now.
They start fighting people over nothing.
Okay.
On Feb 14, just 7 days, when people are saying Valentine's all over here, the Treasury will be submitting 3 documents to Parliament. We'll be submitting the budget policy statement, which is already on their website, the medium-term debt strategy, and the division of revenue. So on the division of revenue, they have sent Rigiji. Rigiji is the one who's saying, we get his pants down and beat him to get money. Now, on
some of the craziest
on the
statements
media,
I've ever heard from leaders.
On the medium debt strategy paper, they tell us that they tell us that the previous government was borrowing and they will not borrow. They have already borrowed what was borrowed in 2020 in just 5 months.
Right, that's true.
They have already done that. They keep explaining. There's this notion that if you re-strategize your debt to be more domestic than international, then you are doing something. In fact, me, I am on the opposite side. I don't believe making debt locally helps our growth. I believe it stifles our growth, because once government turns to domestic lending, it means that the bank will be more interested in lending to the government because it's a secure loan than lending to private investors. So investments in our side go down. But they don't see that. They want to come and explain to us that it is Uhuru and KCC that have not paid tax. That's why we don't have money. And it is a lie. Now we look at what is in the budget policy statement, because that one they have already presented. What is in the budget policy statement? They came into government and said they were cutting government spending by 300 billion.
Right.
People lost their consultancies, people lost their contracts, people were laid off in the name of budget cuts. Now, from their budget policy statement, government spending does not go down. It goes up from 3.26 in the previous Nini to 3.96. So where was that money going to?
That's a good question.
You need to tell people the truth. At the end of the day, we need to get to a point where we are telling people the truth.
Robin.
That you dropped development by 80 billion, you added recruitment by 80 billion. So you have not done anything.
Robin, if I take you back a bit to constitutional reforms, because that's where we get to have people do something. Eventually, maybe have a government that is legitimately, everyone agrees to, if I can put it like that. Here, the Daily Nation is saying that Raila Odinga has scored an own goal. And I'm sure, of course, being a man of the law, you have had a look at the ABC Amendment Bill of 2020 from Uhuru Kenyatta's time, and now the 2022, which was sponsored by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and has been assented into law, actually, by President Ruto. So the argument here is that the Azimio sides feel like President William Ruto is trying to handpick him and his team is trying to handpick who will be the next in the IEBC. According to this new look, the selection panel will constitute of 2 nominees. Maybe for the people who are not aware or privy to this amendment bill of 2022, the new selection panel shall include 2 nominees, 1 man and a woman from PSC, down from 4 in the repealed law. The panel will also have 1 person nominated, each by PSC, the political parties liaison committee, the LSK, and 2 people, a man and a woman, representing the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya. Back in 2019, when Raila Odinga, of course, was the one pushing for this IEBC amendment bill of 2019, we remember the people or the politicians allied to President William Ruto pushing against it, saying that this is a means by Uhuru and Raila to have a say in who they get to hand select for the IEBC seats. And we've seen them, of course, coming up with those names like the IEBC 4, the famed IEBC 4, saying that this is actually a result of that hand picking. And now Raila Odinga is resisting that kind of amendment bill, which the ball was set rolling by himself, actually. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that Kenyans are missing in this story? How are we switching sides that quickly? Or there's a detail that is not correct there?
Okay, so what happens with this selection panel, it's good that Kenyans just understand that there are two processes here. We have to do an election. The election will be overseen by a commission. So the commission has commissioners. But before we get to these commissioners are appointed by the president. But the president gets a list of nominees from a selection panel. So that's where political players get to play. That you believe that if you select your people to the selection panel, they will forward the quote-unquote right names to the president to choose from. Now, what appears is, in the beginning, the selection panel had four PSC members.
Right.
That would mean that you have, at this stage, you have 2 for Azimio, 2 for Kenya Kwanza, and now they could share that between the parties,
right,
and be represented in that process.
Mm-hmm.
But as it stands now, if they are reduced to 2, it means it's only them,
mm-hmm,
and 1 from. So you
one
only
from the
have
other side.
only one person to put there. And all these other institutions, the president has been playing to the tune of the church for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I am a representative.
I see where this is going.
I am a representative at the Interreligious Council, and I can note that
mm-hmm,
that the president has been nice to those people
mm-hmm,
for a while. So you tend to believe that so the representatives from the IRCK will be his people.
mm-hmm.
The
So
representative.
it seems he has more people.
So
on the seat
it
on the
seems
table.
like it is a 7. It's the Cherera Chebukati thing all over again, but now at the selection panel. And you believe, and if you get to note that these names will be provided to who?
To the president.
To the president. So at the end of the day, he's generally selecting your referee for you.
So what will be your best, now that it's already low, what will be the best way around this IEBC conundrum? Because if we don't solve it before 2027, we are continuously going to have issues, even probably worse than what we saw at the Bomas during the announcement of the results. If already the caretaker of the election is not something that we can agree on, will we ever get to a point where we agree on the outcome of the elections? Or is there something that we can do right now? And this is already out there, it's low. President William Ruto already signed this new method of selection of the panel. Is it ever going to be fair? Or is it ever going to be agreed that it's a free and fair election?
His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, the people's president, has voted, and I will repeat, which I fully support, that it's time that we adapted the American style of election, and we instilled devolution to IEBC and allowed for the county returning officers to have autonomy on how they run the county programs and the county election, and provide results from there that can be tallied by the commission. So what he is proposing is to get away to share these resources and remove focus from one thing. It has helped us. Moving forward, if we were in the same position we were in 2007 at this point, we would be having so many problems. But there's that less focus or less concentration on the presidency now that we have governors. You get what I mean?
Yes, the devolution.
And sometimes, so as we stand now, the national government might be Kenya Kwanza, but there are Azimio county governments all over. Left, right, and center, you will find an Azimio governor with his own plans and how he's doing. Kilifi have launched a partnership with Hungary. Wanga is doing great things from where she is. Simbarati is revolutionizing his county and such like stuff. So at the same in the same breath, if we had the same principle applied to most of our offices, it would remove the mistrust or the sort of questions that arise thereafter. We need not concentrate on Nairobi as being where the votes are being counted.
Right.
We would have Narok declare their results from president to MCAs and give their full report. We can have Masabi do the same, and we can have Lamu do the same, and once they are done, we can all sit here and collect. Even you can do it from your own house. A simple way of doing but if you want to concentrate your power on a specific people that you can control, it means that you have an agenda moving forward. That is all that we can get from it.
All right. I think that's as much as we can do on Raila. I think there's so much to speak about Raila, Azimio, President William Ruto, and the current happenings in the political scene. But you can get to read more of that in the Standard, page 6, where they're detailing Raila's new movement, the MDD, and also on the Daily Nation. You can get to have much more information on page 4 and 5 on that issue of handpicking IEBC commissioners as Raila Odinga is calling it. He will not allow Ruto and his sycophants to single-handedly appoint IEBC commissioners. Robin, I want us to have a look at the issue of tax wholesomely, because there's so much to speak about from the sentiments that were given out by Mama Ngina over the weekend, coming through, of course, to yesterday, Kimani Ichung'wah, and also the government, of course, its bid to double down on taxation. But I want us to begin with this issue of public debt, and it's detailed here at the back of the Daily Nation. A weakening shilling has increased the pain from foreign debt, which is mainly denominated in the United States dollar. So we know that if we're currently not performing really good in terms of the shilling to the greenback, that is the US dollar. I think by the time I was checking yesterday, it was at 129 and a few cents. That is $1 to $1 to 129 shillings and thereabouts. So you can get to think about that, but I'm just trying to build it up from what you said, that we need not to shift our debt from international or foreign debt to domestic debt. And here we're saying that already, as it was said last year, the parliament set the debt ceiling to be at 10 trillion, and Kenya's stock of public debt is almost crossing 9 trillion, and we are almost hitting that 10 trillion ceiling. I don't know what will happen then when we hit 10 trillion and the government can't get to borrow anymore. But I think that on President Ruto's side, aside from the fact that the budget cuts didn't work, which was the biggest promise of the first impact on how to reduce this debt, we are seeing his government consistently moving towards taxation. We're seeing the Kenya Association of Manufacturers complaining that most of their products have increased taxation, some double, some triple. We've seen the 15% excise duty tax as well, and many other methods and strategies, including going after individuals or companies that they feel were given waivers unfairly and they exploited them between the handshake period, as it's now been famed. And the most of these beneficiaries are, according to President William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza government, are people who are allied to either Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga. Aside from that, there's also Kenyans who are going to experience a lot of taxation. Subsidies have been scrapped, and we're seeing more products, of course, falling under the tax bracket. I was having a conversation yesterday with a Kenyan, and their thought, this is a Kenya Kwanza diehard, who said that, instead of tuende kuboroboro, wacha sisi tu lipe tax. If you take a look at Europe, watu wanalipa tax sana na wamesaidiwa na serikali. The taxation is high in the UK, but the services are also as good. Could we maybe see a light at the end of this Kenya Kwanza dark tunnel of taxation? And maybe, as Kimani Ichung'wah was saying, it is not targeted to any individual. We are not going after Mama Ngina. We're not going after Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga and his companies. We're just trying to get the tax that the Kenyans need for us to make a turnaround in this situation.
It was Winston Churchill who said that for a nation to tax itself into prosperity is an altar lie. And that is what I hold on. That you cannot we cannot tax ourselves into prosperity. Our problem has been, and it's not a problem, President Kibaki started a notion of kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea, and his idea on it was to include more people into the tax base. It's important to explain to Kenya that there are a number of taxes that are there. You cannot just say somebody is not paying taxes. You need to point to us what tax is he not paying, he or she not paying. We are all paying VAT when we buy products. So what is it? Is it income tax? Is it that they have a company that is earning that they are not paying back tax or something of that sort? Now, our problem has been that moving forward from the time President Kibaki started that and when Uhuru came in, there have been a good trajectory on how we have raised our revenue, how we have come. We have come from, we were just celebrating hitting the 1 trillion budget just the other day. It's not very far. Now we are talking of 3 trillion budget, and we are not seeing it as growth. We are seeing on where we are problem. The problem is we aim to collect a lot. We target a lot. We set our bar high, knowing very well we won't reach it. But the problem has been, how do we get to our targets, and how can we raise enough revenue to sustain us?
Right.
There's this notion that we have been borrowing. We have been borrowing to fund our recurrent expenditure, and that is a lie.
Has it been on development?
It's not on development. What I am trying to point out is we do not use that on salaries. Our debt has been explained to what is our principles on the PFM Act, and that there's no government spending without budget. There is no budget without the budget must have public participation. Our budget must be project based, in that there must be an indicator, there must be an outcome, there must be an impact. You must explain to us what you want to achieve with this. Now, our debt to GDP ratio, the mark that we have been given is 70%. We are not doing so bad off. People have been, Japan is already at 202. I think the last I checked they were at 202, and they are doing well. The countries that we started with and have gone far, that's Singapore, Malaysia, what we call the 4 Asian tigers. They had to borrow more because you look at what you want to achieve. Now, the government does work in collecting or raising funds and using those funds to create projects for these people that they may alleviate them from poverty. We have already improved our standings to a fact that our poverty line is no longer 100 shillings a day. Our poverty line now at 300 shillings a day. And that means more people fall below the poverty line.
Right.
Now, what are we doing? What would the government be doing to alleviate those people and bring them
out
so
of
what
poverty?
What we are supposed to be doing is offering citizens ways of how they, if you cannot afford the 300, how you can survive without that 300. We give you healthcare, we give you education, so that you can
not spend.
You cannot spend on those. But we have a government that has come in, tells you it's cutting spending. The next minute, it has removed subsidies. It has removed anything that the government was offering to lessen the pain in your pocket. Then it has added tax. So you do not have money to begin with, and then things are going up. What you are creating is you are brewing a revolution on your own hands, and then you want to blame it on a man who has been on a path to liberate this country. You want to blame everything on that man. Well, it is you who is creating us. It is MDG is not being formed by Baba. I want to tell them today that it is the people themselves that are actually asking for it. It is the people who are joining it voluntarily. Because where you have put us in a corner. You want to make money, you want to release our public debt, go talk to our financiers. Instead of taking more loans, first renegotiate what we have done and add more longer periods for repayment. So if you were paying within 10 years, we were maybe paying 100. But if we stretch it to 15 years, this we will pay more at the end of the day, but we will be paying 70 in the midterm. So that is something you could be helping us with. You are not helping us by putting everything on our pockets. Yenye umetunyima kazi, hatuna kazi, hatuna pesa, na vitu zimekuwa bei kali. What else do you expect us to do?
Right. I'm picking up something there, and maybe you can tell me, is a revolution brewing? Because for a long time, we've been saying, government to idea, kill corruption, end this, end that. And I think just like the poverty line, Kenyans have moved past asking the government for this kind of help or a turnaround in how they're handling government business or corruption cases. If you can pinpoint a few of those, even since the Kenya Kwanza government took power, we've seen cases which have been let go in billions of shillings, people even getting reversal of the money that was already confiscated by the government, including add-ons in terms of cost of emotional, I don't know, whatever it is they are getting paid for. But is there a revolution brewing, given that now umesema umetunyang'anya subsidies, so which means we are paying fuel expensive, kila kitu yenye tulikuwa tumepewa subsidy. Electricity is about to go up as well once that subsidy is scrapped if KPLC goes through with it. We are also seeing that the cost of living is going up, products zimeenda juu sana, taxation is increasing. but we are not realizing, as you said, those other benefits. We're not realizing free healthcare. We're not realizing free education or any other free amenities from the government. And you've pointed that it's the people who want to be in MDD. So is this a sign that there could be a revolution rather than people waiting on the, as I said, the light at the end of the Kenya Kwanza dark tax tunnel? So instead of us waiting for a supposed future which is looking really bright, could there be a revolution that's brewing up?
So I will use the analogy of sin tax. What has been happening over years with governments is that they believe when they want to tax, they tax what they call a sin tax. They increase taxes for alcohol, for cigarettes, because those people do not have the moral authority to complain. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
But what that has done is, in most areas, especially I come from the Mount Kenya region, it has brought people to illicit brews. Now, Rigiji is here fighting illicit brews, but he doesn't know that his taxation to alcohol is the reason these people are taking illicit brews. Is the reason he will go back there and start saying that we will have one bar per town. People are not struggling with alcoholism. People are struggling with how you want them to live. Because at the end of the day, there are some things that have to happen. When Sakaja tried to close the bars at the first time, you saw the reaction that came from the people, because people depend on those businesses to live. They employ people. They have distributors. There's no bigger network than the network of sin in Nairobi. If you want, just because you do not have the moral authority to
sin
complain,
is profitable.
Yes. We have to tell the people the truth. It's okay. We are church people. I am a church goer. I've told you I'm in the interreligious council. But at the end of the day, we have to make public policies that are human-centered, that focus on what the person is doing and how the person is created to live. You don't come here and because you think you are holier than thou, you think that now you can force us to pay just to be part of sinners. It is not your work.
Force us to pay or pray.
Yeah.
So the back page of the Daily Nation has that story on public debt. You can get to read the grim picture of how that is going. The Treasury plans to plug the budget deficit in the next financial year through external loans of 198 billion, but domestic loans, as Robin has informed us, that's going to be the biggest way that the Treasury plans to plug that deficit, with 496 billion domestic loans that they're trying to raise in the next financial year. Treasury expects to collect 2.89 trillion in revenues in 2023-2024 to fund its spending, and also this is an increase, by the way, from 2.51 trillion, which was estimated, and it's supposed to be supported by the current tax measures and maybe hunting down those companies and big people, billionaires who have profited and have not been paying taxes, allegedly. So we're waiting to...
You also need to point out that our current treasurer was at CBK governor.
Yes, during the
he should be telling us of strategies of how to lower that gap with the USD, because at the end of the day, we would not have passed this 9 trillion. If we looked at our debt based on what was our exchange rate, maybe at 2010, we would be having less that debt.
Right.
Most of that debt is because of servicing a loan that you took in USD and you are collecting tax in Kenyan shillings.
That's true. And the exchange rate is not favorable. Yes. Not a bit. So since we pay those loans like that, you can expect that, of course, that's going to be steep for the taxpayer's pocket. Let's try and close it up, Robin. Tumekuwa hapa, I think, 1 hour. And hata hatujatoka front page, hatujafungua any of the pieces inside. And I'm hoping that maybe sometime we can continue to do this.
Information is more.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here.
Masando machache.
Masani machache sana, yeah? Things are a lot, time is little, as they say. Maybe let's close it up with what's on the front of the Daily Nation. I'll be remaining with the Business Daily, alafu niendelee nayo show. So, Form 1 pain as schools defy state. So, some principals have ignored the Ministry of Education's guidelines by turning schools into money-minting businesses, exploiting parents through exorbitant prices of items such as uniforms, and also giving out extra levies and hidden charges. This is a story that's laid here on page 2 and 3. However grim that picture looks like on the headline, on the third page they say the admission is going in a very smooth manner across the country. Reports from Nandi, in Uasin Gishu here, I'm seeing even Kisii County, and also Nakuru and Kiambu as well. Looks like admission is going really well, but page 2 there, they are saying that still a couple of those headmasters and principals are turning these schools into a business, selling uniform and the other materials that the students might be needing. Before I get your reaction on this, because I think that's what we are going to close with, take me back to your day going to Form 1 for the first time. How was that like? How long ago? Or if you want to hide that information, how did that feel like, that kind of environment, joining high school for the first time? If you went to high school. We might be making an assumption.
Mine was actually very interesting. I was supposed to go to a boarding school, but I didn't. And I come from a broken family, so my mom and my dad were not on the same page, on the same. So I looked for a closer day school. I enrolled myself. My first day in school, I came without school uniform.
Wow.
But the principal there, unlike what I am seeing with some here, the principal, she's currently the principal at Moi Girls, was a very understanding woman. She was my Sunday school teacher and also the principal at the high school. So she allowed me to come to school as my parents figure out what they want to do. And my mom later came just to find out if at all I am going to school. And she bought everything after that. My dad would provide, but my dad never knew where I went to school. My mom only came once. So moving forward, the whole time as school, my parent was my principal.
You were in campus. Oko high school, like you're in campus. You take yourself to school.
Yeah, that is how it was. I hope it inspires someone there.
That's a very good story.
Look at me now.
Yeah. Kuna watu wana struggle na uko campus. So if Mandem will do it in high school, I think you're slacking there. My first time in high school was actually really exciting. The school that I was called to go to high school is the one that I went to. So unlike you, I did actually go to the school that I wanted to go, the one that I selected, and the one that called me was exactly the school I wanted to go to. I did not Google the school because I didn't want to see the pictures or where it was. I'd never been there, so I wanted to be surprised and see how good it looks firsthand. And I can tell you it didn't disappoint. So you can guess what school that was. It's a public high school in Kenya. It was a very good experience for me. So I'm hoping it has inspired anyone to select the schools that they want to go. They'll eventually do. Your final reaction now as we try and close this segment up. Kuna principals wanauza items to this. I think it's public. Is this so hard to find them and bring them under the law, or should it be just allowed? I think maybe there's reasoning behind that. No?
I want to say this, that nature abhors something called a vacuum. And in anything you do in a capitalistic state, you create an industry. I say this because next week, the governor for Nairobi will be having public participation on school feeding program across public schools. For most of us, it's a way of children finding a meal and making children go to school. For the bigger part, it is a business waiting to be exploited.
There's someone doing a business plan right now.
Yes. So if you look at it that way, it is time that we started being open and inviting these things way in advance. You will find that some principal is being accused of maybe selling, and the problem is their school uniform has a logo, and every trader along the way does not have that logo. It has to come from a specific person. That specific person makes logo only for that school. So at the end of the day, the teacher, the parent will be feeling like this teacher has some interest in this business. It might be there, it might not be there. But what I am saying, since we've already found ourselves in a capitalistic state, let's just call
the way.
Yeah, call the dog a dog. If look, yes,
If it
I have
barks,
a
allow it to
project
bark.
here, but it also provides business here. So the people who are interested in the business come to this side. The people who are interested in the project come to this side. Let's work on our rules for this, work on our rules for this. But the whole idea of trying to seem like government does things and
better.
Government does things for the betterment of the people without any money exchanging hands is a wrong thing.
Yeah, it's
The
an
truth-
illusion to
yeah.
think that the government will be the one doing cleaner business than
Yes.
the principal. Okay, that's a good way to look at it. So Mugala Muwe na haki umpe. I think that's how we can wrap that up. I'll allow you to read out this quote. We usually have our guests read the quote at the back of the Business Daily, and I think we can close it up there. Alafu maybe you can tell us if you kama watu wanataka a quick one wakili watakupata wapi if that's something that you're open to.
Okay. First, let me start by reading the last one. It says, incredible change happens in your life when you decide to take control of what you do have power over instead of craving control over what you don't, by Steve Maraboli. I think that
Right.
can relate to the prayer of the serenity.
Okay.
Being granted the knowledge to know the difference.
That's Heart the Band.
No, that's a prayer. That's actually a prayer.
Yes. Of course, I was quoting it out of a Heart the Band song myself.
Anyway, you can follow me on all social media is mku_ro. That's MKW_RAWW.
All right.
You can call me the People's Clerk, aka Karani.
That's a really good pun. Take your time, yeah? Mkuu, asante. Taking that short break here on Biashara Tuesday. I'll be right back to read your feedback and also to get into the conversations of the day. There's more guests coming up, so you don't want to miss out on that. Tag me at Richard_Kenya. I'll be right back.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design, with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
What is this magic? I need that magic.
Somebody call 911. Anything for your girl, give me more.
Sugri wagri, den den den.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
here we are. It's 8:43 in the morning after a heated segment of the newspaper review section, of course, having a look at various developments, especially in the world of politics, and that's, of course, informing how the economy is being run by the Kenya Kwanza government, and also how it's going to happen with regards to the business that you're doing or your places of work. So here, we are taking a look at current transport and traffic conditions in the city, and this is courtesy of Ma3 route. So here, zero movement on Mudhangari Drive is what I'm seeing here. It looks like a parking lot. Mudhangari Drive is all the way in Westlands. So kama uko hizo sides, try kupenya penya. I think these are people who are seeking alternative routes to join Wayaki Way, but it's actually a really huge road now, including the expressway. So you shouldn't be struggling really, but that's what is happening in Mudhangari. Just witnessed Azuri Matatu ram into an accident scene at the exit past GSU outbound. Dereva wasare kuweka free gear downhill. So Zuri Matatu ram into an accident scene. So what's the initial accident scene there? But asante sana for that information. That's what is happening. And this is at GSU outbound. Exit past GSU outbound. So I think this is Eastern Bypass. Yeah, should be. Just witnessed that. Okay, Thika Road service lane from Survey. It's a total mess as of 34 minutes ago. Use the highway. We need an expressway on Thika Road. I think it kinda is an expressway, isn't it? We need another one on top of Thika Road. That's according to Alex Mutuma here. Amesema he's been waiting 2 hours on traffic. Zuri Matatu that ran into an accident, that is on Thika Road. So GSU there at Allsops, I believe. Ngong Road near Junction Mall, kumeshikana pia sana, so it looks like it's the same as it's happening on Thika Road. What is your take now that Moja Expressway announced that it will allow Class 5 lorries and trucks on the Nairobi Expressway? So here it seems Class 5 lorries and trucks. Siko sure hizo ni gani. But for the guys who drive these lorries, tuambie how you feel about that. You're being allowed now on the Moja Expressway. Ni kama kuna ubaguzi though, because public transport haikubaliwi huko juu, because it's not managed well, or what? So who ensures order on the roads? Traffic police. What are they instead doing? Collecting bribes. Who sends them to do those duties? Dash, dash, dash. So that's Martha Wanja asking you on Twitter. Very good sentiments there. Naivasha roads towards Zagoreti Corner Pier is very bad. And I'm finishing here with a quote from the back of a tuk-tuk. And I'm retweeting it. Anasema, kama niko pole pole, mbona niko mbele yako? Think about it. Traffic updates, those are the ones. I am coming back with another conversation just after this. So don't go too far. I'll be right back. STEM as an abbreviation, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'm sitting here with the current STEM Club of Kenyatta University officials, and we're going to have a conversation around STEM, what exactly their club does, and what the future is like for STEM. Last week on Tuesday, I was having a very heated conversation with representatives from the technical universities, and they were trying to give us a perspective on a new directive given out by the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, who is saying that it's time, in the next 3 years, they're actually phasing out business courses in those technical institutions, and they are focusing on STEM, because STEM is the future, and it's a time that technology is taking over the world of business and even our day-to-day life. So it's important that they prioritize on doing STEM and leave business to business schools. Today, we are speaking with the guys who are doing STEM as a career, but also they have a club within Kenyatta University, the STEM Club. I'm speaking with the president of that STEM Club and also the organizing secretary of the STEM Club. I'm here with Wilson Obiero on the right of me, and also accompanying him is the president himself, Bwana Nicholas Odhiambo, STEM Club, Kenyatta University. Let's get to hear what they have, what they've been doing. If you're a Kenyatta University student, I think this is also the time that you tune in and know what activities they are up to, and also how you can benefit from joining the STEM Club of Kenyatta University. And also, if you're in other campuses as well, University of Nairobi, JKUAT, Namna STEM Club, or your STEM Club is not as good, or it's also as good, there are a few insights that you can get from these two gentlemen who are joining here on Biashara Tuesday. So send in your feedback, your questions, #Biashara Tuesday. I see that they've already been coming in. I'll be getting to that in just a bit, but first, let's get into this conversation. Bwana President, I always like to, miangu ni top bottom, si bottom up approach. So tutaanza juu, tukienda chini, from President to OGSEC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I'd ask you to use your mic there, of course, for us to get to hear from you. You are the president of the STEM Club of Kenyatta University, so I'm going to be allowing you, of course, to introduce it, because this is going to be your mandate. And I think it's in your duty as a president to ensure that a lot of people know about the STEM Club. And his work, I think, is to organize the activities, so I'll leave the activities to him. What is the STEM Club all about in Kenyatta University? Who does it involve? And, of course, a brief introduction into yourself as the president. Are you in the physics department? Are you currently an active student?
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Nicholas Odhiambo, the current STEM Club, Kenyatta University. First and foremost, I am taking biochemistry. I'm in my final year, graduating very soon. That is maybe July or December, God willingly.
It's July. God willing, it's near.
Okay. July,
Congratulations.
It will depend with how the semester will take me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to STEM Club, this is a very big club.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very big club in Kenyatta University, as far as science is concerned, and it involves students who are taking science. It also involves, we have different membership of the club. Number one, we have those registered members. These are the students within the school who are pursuing these STEM courses. That is science, engineering, mathematics, and technology. Number two, we also have an associate members. These are now the people who are now trying to help us, at least to steer out our activities.
Right.
E.g., the likes of, we can partner with some schools, we can partner with some organization, they can come and at least help us in one or two ways as far as clubs is concerned.
Right.
Number three, we have alumni. You can be an alumni of this school, and you are maybe in this club, and we don't buy you from the club. Okay, so that is those are the members. Yeah.
All right. To the organizing secretary now. welcome to the show. Looking dapper. I don't see a lot of STEM guys walking around in suits, but I'm hoping, of course, it's for the show as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Maybe an introduction to yourself as organizing secretary. What do you do for the STEM club, and how long ago did you join?
Okay, I am Wilson Obiero, the organizing secretary STEM club. I'm a student from the School of Education in Kenyatta University, taking physics and chemistry.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking physics and chemistry. So I'm a teacher, a teacher of physics and chemistry by profession.
Okay.
A teacher by profession, and I would like to instill this STEM. You know, there's a saying that goes that as a teacher, we should not just be instilling the knowledge. We should not just be knowledge-based, but we should be able to create those conditions for a student to become creative and innovative. And these are STEM. STEM, in full, as it has been said by, maybe just to repeat, STEM is a multidisciplinary approach to education. So multidisciplinary in that we have 4 disciplines in STEM. The 4 disciplines are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Right.
Yeah. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And mainly my work in STEM as the organizing secretary is to organize the events and the club activities. Like the most recent activity last week was a talk by the National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation. Which is it is abbreviated in short as NACOSTI. By there were several. Actually, it was a part of the Career Week event.
Oh, okay. That was happening last week in KU.
That was happening last week in KU. Yeah, the Career Week was happening last week on Wednesday, and that was the most recent event. And I think we also have another one coming this weekend on Saturday, which is Women in Engineering. Women Engineering. Actually, we want to. One of our purpose as a STEM club, one of our main purpose, our main agenda, is to reach out to the high school students and to nurture them and make them to be, especially women. You know, we want most of these women to pursue these STEM courses and STEM courses and STEM career pathways. So we want to make them and encourage them and instill we want to make them to inspire them to pursue these courses.
STEM
want
courses.
to inspire them to pursue these STEM courses.
Bouncing back to the president now, can you maybe speak on the impact and success that the club has had so far on members, maybe of the university, and if there are any outside the university who've been able to take part in the various activities that he's mentioning, or any other thing that's being organized by the STEM club of KU? What kind of success so far can we speak of?
Okay, first, as STEM members, especially within the campus, that is Kenyatta University, we've been able to organize ourselves as students in science. And actually the first thing that we normally do, and our main priority, is to go to university, to high school students, and at least encourage them to join these STEM-related courses. Okay, you know, most of them, maybe they want just to do medicine, engineering, and maybe architecture. Forgetting that, STEM is a multidisciplinary approach where we also have these courses like biochemistry, biotechnology, industrial chem. So we are encouraging them. Actually, if you fail or you didn't get that chance of going to medicine, then you can have something else. Another thing, after joining now campus, we need to encourage this particular student that actually your career pathway is this way. Okay, so we normally bring those career specialists, those who are specializing in maybe to tell people how to choose a very good career path. So after doing that biochemistry, then what are you going to do in life? So we are trying to expose them to to corporate world.
Okay.
That is.
Right.
Okay. Number two, after that, these particular students, they normally involved in, let me say, research as a scientist. Scientists are involved in research and the rest. So we are again coming up with certain mechanism on how to make them now do their research well. Okay.
All right.
And then another thing, I've talked about mentorship, about career, and then mentorship, career, and then we also need to do a lot of now exposing these students maybe to co-curricular activity. We do games as STEM.
Okay.
And actually,
it's not all about
it's not
physics.
all about physics and
math.
chemistry and maths. We also
Okay.
do games. We do games. We do games, and bonding is very important. Okay? Which encourages teamwork.
All right.
You know, when we bond together, it encourages teamwork, and with us as scientists in the lab, you cannot do something alone. Okay? You must
Have
also
someone else too.
have someone to cooperate with.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the things that we normally involve ourselves in.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Organizing secretary now.
Yes.
I have to say I was a student at SPAS. You told me you're in SPAS, yeah? SPAS in KU, School of Pure and Applied Sciences.
Yes.
And I have to say I never saw the STEM club, right? I never met any official. I never heard about it. So if you have predecessors, I'm painting them in bad light. They didn't do a good job. Well, at least for the period that I was there. So how long ago did the STEM club start? Maybe it started after I was out. And what are you doing as club officials to ensure that the students who are pursuing STEM courses are getting the awareness? Because also that's an important step. It could be in KU. I am so sure that there's so many of them who are not maybe, I don't have the numbers, a couple of them, let's say a couple of them who are not aware of the STEM club, or even various parts of KU or clubs like such. So what are the steps you're doing to create awareness and to bring more students into the club?
Yeah, about creating awareness, actually that is one of a very critical role that I have to perform as the organizing secretary in STEM. And we have to create awareness that the STEM club indeed it exists and it is very active. Actually, as you have just said that it was inactive back then, it was dormant during your time. But right now, it is we have brought it to limelight, and at least it can be seen all over. It can be seen in KU. It is very active right now.
Right.
And
what are some of those things you're doing to ensure that students are seen?
To ensure that students can. So some of the things that we are doing, we create activities such as the team building activities, which create cohesion among the students. Actually, the team building activities bring many students together, and there are some science trivia questions that are involved in those team building activities, which encourage the students and make it fun. Just like you have just hinted that it is not all about being in class and learning about physics, chemistry, engineering, mathematics, but it is also, we also bond and create cohesion among ourselves and teamwork. Those are some of the 21st century skills that we want to build on as a STEM club. Actually, STEM club, we are trying to overcome the traditional system of education, where and want to instill the contemporary skills among the students. These skills are, for example, critical thinking, creativity, analysis, skills of analysis among the students. Teamwork is also a skill, a very good one, and among many others. And for example, maybe I can give an example of maybe, let's say a teacher has directed an engineering student to create or to make an L-shaped chair. Let's say an L-shaped chair. Yeah. So these students will have to investigate, to do his own research and find out which is the best material to make this wooden shaped chair, wooden L-shaped chair. Yeah, he must make some research and do analysis on that material. Maybe he has to do some material science about and go deeper and ensure that he uses the right materials, do his analysis, the angles of measurements of the angles of that he's supposed to use. Maybe I should also go to the carpenter and inquire more about the right materials and how he's supposed to. So that is research analysis, and finally, that students will be able to create whatever to create that chair, that L-shaped chair, and that is what we call creativity now.
Okay.
And by utilizing those skills, and these are some of the things that we are trying to instill in the learners through inviting speakers, even including from the departments, not from the departments, and some corporate organizations outside, which are we also work with the corporate organizations to ensure that we are at par
with what the industry is requiring of these graduates. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've mentioned there, I think, something really important, which is the soft skills which are needed outside of being an engineer.
Yeah.
It's not just about the material science. It's not about the circuit drawing, or it's not about signal processing and all of that shenanigan that happens in the world of STEM. But it's also important that they know how to be creative while they are doing this STEM activities. They also need to do critical thinking, analysis, and all of that. And I wanted to pose a question along the same lines to you, Bona President of the STEM Club, which is there a way that you're also involving students who are outside the STEM courses? So let's say someone is in SOE, they're pursuing Bachelor of Commerce, and they'd like to maybe involve themselves in the STEM club as a passion. They are passionate about technology or about mathematics. They're a doctor and they really love physics and they want to know about the universe and all of that stuff. Is it possible for them to come through and be a part of the STEM club? And maybe to follow that up, is the STEM club also involving itself in any other activities outside the school? Maybe community outreach or activities that are going to sensitize the community or people who are outside KU in matters of STEM?
Thank you for the question. As I started earlier, I said that in STEM, we are having different type of members. The first one, registered member. Another one, by the way, for your information, we are also recruiting the non-teaching staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as an affiliate member. Okay, we are also having.
Why is that? Why is that? Why do you need a non-teaching member?
Here, this is a very big club, and we need to do a lot of things as far as science is concerned. I'm also told that history is also a science in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that's why we also need to, we are in a very constant discussion to now change this term to come STEAM, okay? So that we can involve art there.
I like that, STEAM.
Yeah, STEAM, so that we can involve those art students. But then there's another student who is willing to join STEM, but he's not taking a STEM-related courses. Okay, he's also invited in our ministry. That is STEM. Yeah, and again, non-teaching staff, as by the way, the current Vice Chancellor of Kenyatta University, he's very passionate about science, and actually he's sponsoring us in many things as far as STEM is concerned. In fact, on 11th, we are celebrating women in science. You know, that is their day.
Yes.
And they are from STEM. So we will be having that event, and the VC will be sponsoring us in one or two ways. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's it's an open invite for people to join.
An open invite.
Okay.
Number two, as a STEM club, that is Kenyatta University, we are also partnering ourselves with other schools, maybe UON, JQuat. But then we also having a partner with these high school students, okay? And currently we are doing with them Ruiru Girls. We are doing with Ruiru Girls, so that we can have that progressive activities, okay? After starting to motivate this student from Form 1, what will be the progress? What will be the progress? So we are starting with Ruiru Girls from Form 1, like progressively. I know that when I left, there will be some people, and it is noted, it is on books that
we have to continue with this activity.
This activity, like Ruiru Girls and no other school. Yeah.
Okay.
so that we can know the progress, how they are progressing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very good way, of course, to ensure that what you're getting here is passed down to people who are still in high school before they come to join campus and get the necessary classes that they need. Speaking about classes, I'll come back to you, Mwalim,
Yes.
because you're a teacher there.
Yeah.
Still, going back to when I was in SPAS, I had a really big problem with calculus. And I was looking for help left, right, and center. Or let me say, I was looking for help left and center because there was no right way to do it. And I think I would have really benefited from someone who maybe has already gone ahead in this type of classes or has a little bit of knowledge in a way that can be simplifying the school course load on me. So maybe someone is in the STEM club and they need help with the academic situation. Is there room for that? Do you have a place where they can bring their... I know STEM club is all about, how can we innovate? How can we think outside of the class? How can we be practical about what we've been taught in class? And that's all good. And I think that's the direction we should be headed. But also, I think it's important that I also have a good GPA, that I also don't get as many retakes as has been famed in the institution. So is that sort of help within the STEM club?
Yes, there's also that sort of help in the STEM club. In that when you're having challenges in matters academics, we also assist in matters academics, and we also have we're working with the lecturers actually, including the patron. I think our patron is the chairman maths department. Yeah, the chairman maths department is our patron, and we're working with the lecturers to ensure that if any student has a challenge, he can approach any one of us who is depending on that particular area, that area of a challenge that student is experiencing the problem. He or she can be able to be assisted. Actually, what should motivate these students to do well in these STEM courses academically is that once you perform very well in these STEM subjects, these STEM disciplines, these STEM careers, you'll be able to meet the global market demands outside here. And we are looking forward to a society where we want to create self-employment through these STEM courses. We want to create self-employment among because there are no jobs.
There are not enough jobs for us.
There are not enough jobs actually, and if it has not yet dawned on some of us that based on the statistics that I am able to, based on the statistics that I think we'll be having maybe in the next, actually in the next 5 years, that we'll be having more jobs which are anchored on STEM in our Vision 2030. This STEM is also anchored in Vision 2030, whereby we want to make Kenya to become a middle income country. We want to make it to become a middle income country. Actually, we know the country that is leading in innovation right now is USA. And USA is a first world country.
Right.
And so we want to, these students should know that they have to do well, they have to perform well in class for them to meet the
global standards.
Yeah, the global standards.
Yeah. And I think it's a good way that you're still encouraging STEM education, even as you push for activities outside of the STEM disciplines. Go back to class still and perform as is required. Maybe as we also round up, I'm going to ask you to tell the people how they can join. So for a student who's watching and they'd like to join the STEM club, how can they do that? What approaches do they need to pursue, or do they need to have some prior qualifications? Ama kitu kama hiyo, or where can they meet the members as well? And I think also you could speak of the future of STEM. I think it's just touched on it a bit there. That STEM is still anchored within the Vision 2030, and it's going to be a very major way of taking Kenya to the next level of development. So what is your future looking like from your end? And then how can people join the STEM club in Kenyatta University?
Okay. Thank you. The future of STEM, actually, STEM involves innovation and invention. Then the Vision 2030, that is, the world is full of innovation. We must come up with something new. Okay? E.g., the most striking problem that we are facing currently is maybe lack of food. So how are we going as scientists to come up with this? People have been talking about gymnos and the rest. In my point, gymnos are good, yeah, because actually we need a lot of food.
You're a GMO proponent.
Yeah, I'm a GMO proponent. So I support it.
Okay.
Because I'm also taking biochemistry, and we know how those things are made. In fact, we started using these gymnos long ago. Okay, so for registration as a member of STEM, we normally have the organizing secretary. We have I myself. We have the SecGen, that is IV, and the treasurer is Emmanuel Combo, the current delegate, School of Pure and Applied Sciences. So we normally register through Combo. Okay? We register through Combo, and you are going to be part and parcel of that club.
Right.
And again, we normally meet at EF, that is EF6, every Friday noon.
Right.
So if you want to find us, you will find us there.
Yeah, go to EF6, the 844 building, I believe.
Yeah, 844 building
Okay.
at noon.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, lastly, I would like to urge my fellow Spatians to join STEM because you need an extra co-curricular activity. In fact, as a scientist, as a STEM club, we normally offer these certificates after graduating. After every year, you have a certificate because we normally have these events that are maybe we involve in exhibitions. Like for last year we had an event that was touching about the invasion of locust in the country. So how are we going to control this locust? You know, it is an idea that we need to propel, and maybe it will help in the near future. Okay,
Right.
so when we do that, we normally offer certificates to these students.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you've participated in very important STEM activities throughout the year. That's a really good move. So, kama unataka to be part of that and receive certification as well from the STEM club, do join them there. Tumalizie na OGSEC. You said there's an activity coming up on women in STEM.
Yeah, women in STEM.
11th of February.
11th of February, yeah.
I'm going to allow you to inform us maybe a bit of detail into that as you wrap up, and maybe your last word of emphasis to Kenyatta University students to come through and get involved with the STEM club activities.
Okay, yeah, we have an event on Saturday, and I will encourage the women in engineering to join us in that event. We want you to turn out in large numbers in that event and support us to make this event a success. We have hinted about maybe just watch something on the future of STEM. The future of STEM that we have very many opportunities in STEM. Right now, we are looking forward to in Kenya. We have a monopoly in the source of energy, which is Kenya Power, and we are looking forward to supplement it with other sources of power, other sources of energy. For example, the nuclear energy. And in Kenyatta University, we have the IRL lab. The IRL lab, which is an internet reactor laboratory, which is actually which is working in the IAEA, International Energy Atomic Agency.
Okay.
Directly from Morocco. I think maybe I can mention Dr. Hashim.
Yes.
You can link up with Dr. Hashim in that.
Right.
He's always there. He's always there to ensure that, and those are some of the contemporary issues that are areas of research that actually
you're involving members in.
Yeah, we want to involve members in because they are the things that are currently trending in Kenya. And another one is the GMO, just like you have mentioned, the GMO, and we also have very many diverse areas. Actually, if we do research, we'll find out that there are very many areas of research and
that STEM can plug into.
That STEM can plug in. And when you come up with your innovation, maybe from we have the Chandari Innovation Center, and for you to protect this, you have to protect your research for the innovation. protection, and so we have this NACOSTI, which regulates research and innovation. Actually, its purpose is to regulate research and innovation, and those people can also help you protect your research. Once you have come up with an idea and an innovation.
I think I'm loving those kinds of benefits.
Yeah. Recently, I think we had an innovation on I think cleaning water, but we are not yet done with it. Maybe you can also support us. Maybe if you are listening to me, we had a project on cleaning water, cleaning water using moringa. Using moringa, maybe can we clean? And we are still on with the project. And we want to see if it can work.
Right. Once it works, please do bring it to the show. We'd love to see what it does for the
how we can make water clean.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Organizing Secretary and President of the STEM Club of Kenyatta University, telling us, of course, how you can get to join, what kind of activities they are up to there. And if you want to know more about them, please make sure you find them in the Kenyatta University premises or go to the physics department and ask about them. I'm sure that you will get the relevant directions to where they are at. If you want to support them, also if you want to join them. That was Nicholas Odhiambo, the president of the STEM Club of Kenyatta University, accompanied here by Wilson Obiero, who's the organizing secretary as well of the STEM Club of Kenyatta University. I'm going for a short break. I had asked a question earlier. Is the income that you are getting right now, whether it's salary or from your business profits, is it enough for you to sustain yourself in this kind of economy? I am coming back to read that kind of feedback and also to hear what you've been talking about since we started, and then we continue with matters of business on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Don't go too far.
Tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Kama ndimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Zikinai tujinai siweke story. Kata maji pia shada liko nasio nikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni nini.
Big up, brother, ukiwa adriba, big up, sis, big up, shows, mama, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
Kwenye mitindo ya kipwani.
Uo yangu wasenesi makire mtuzeha sana nena finira chechemekwe. Uo yangu wasenesi makire mtuzeha.
Yani unavyoona basi niko kipwani pwani tu.
Wali unapopika inatakana uko half cooked.
Niko katika kaunti ya Kilifi, Magavazi ya Gede.
Stream live mitindo ya kipwani on our KUTV Facebook page every Saturday 4 p.m.
ZACAM is an individual or a group of men and women who believe in research and innovation, and especially in a medical field, where especially we are dealing in orthopedic care. ZACAM has come up with a product or an innovation called the hip spiker table. So this hip spiker table, we came up here in locally, and we are producing it here in our workshop. We've also come up with another innovation called the fracture chair table. This one is normally used for fractures, especially for adults.
To the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Teros.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we are losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you find that it serves us a bit more than you put in, and that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box. Just the show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked, make sure we keep fit, and that's it from me to you. Let's
You can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do.
Did you know that creativity breeds creativity? Did you also know that you are uniquely made with gifts and talents? That once you activate your greatness, the world will be a better and more civil place. My name is Dr. Crystal Richardson, and I am a wealth innovation strategist here in the United States. I am also the Global Ambassador of Innovation with I Change Nations and with His Royal Highness, Dr. Clyde Rivers. I'm so extremely excited and happy and honored to be offering you my Innovation Keynote Tour. During this keynote tour, I will be visiting various schools, universities, organizations, and churches to teach some lessons that I have applied to myself and that I teach all over the world from my multi-millionaire and billionaire alliance. The lessons will be in 5 areas. I am the author of a new book called The 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking. And even if you're not interested in being a public speaker, you can use these skills to have better relations with your family, better relations in business, know how to present to potential investors, or maybe you have money that you want to invest in someone else's business. Public speaking is key in all of the 5 areas that I mentioned. I am so honored and humbled to be invited to Kenya as part of this keynote tour, and I cannot wait to share with the universities, organizations, and churches in relation to the 51 powerful P's of public speaking.
Okay, welcome back to KUTV Rise today. This is Biashara Tuesday. We are all about the money, we are all about the opportunities, and it's the conversations we've been having here since morning. Left on set right about a few minutes ago was the STEM club officials from Kenyatta University, of course urging students and including their non-teaching staff to come through and support them and be a part of that STEM club. So we're going to be building up that conversation onto how you can, of course, get yourself into a moment of creativity, innovation, and how do you tap into that. And I'll be having a conversation with a very interesting guest, but maybe that's being a teaser. Let me read a few of your comments so that I can keep you here and then we get back to that conversation. So here on social media from morning, people have been tuning in on the live stream, KUTV, on Facebook and also on YouTube and also on your television set. So these are some of the comments I have to ensure that I mention them. Waweru wa Signature, you're watching the show. Thank you. Tell us where you're watching from. Frank Major Minor, Mr. Moneyman, Tupe Wisdom, wise one. So give us the wisdom. Yeah, if you've been watching since morning, you've seen the wisdom. And there's more that's coming to your way. Just hang on. Fishtown, KE. Fishware watching from, Fishware is watching from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you very much, Fishtown, for watching. And say hi to the people of the City of Angels in Kahawa Wendani. Awush Banadi Lord, good morning. Biashara Tuesday is lit. Jeremiah Washira, representing 1960. If you don't make money, you don't make sense. Thank you for that sentiment, Jeremiah Washira from the 1960. That is in the far end of Kangundo Road. So if you don't know where that is, you should go and find out. Forward Traveler Sacco in town. Na utaweza kujua where it leads you to. I had asked a question earlier. So if you think the current income or profit from a business is able to sustain you in the economy, or what are your thoughts on your survival with what you are earning in the economy? I'll be reading the feedback, maybe just to read 2 comments so far, and then I'll be reading more of what you guys are saying on social media. Here there's Gatwiri C. She's saying on Twitter that I've been thinking about this too, but also realizing it's like the whole world. Incomes are barely useful. Social mobility is gone regardless of how much education you get. Don't get me started on healthcare. We are living by faith. Small illness, and that's it. Bunny here already read Bunny's comment there. Thank you very much, Bunny Mburu Kuria, saying very few individuals are benefiting from our hard work. Once we vote in our leaders, we give them the mandate to run our taxes and to oversee our regulatory framework. If you don't vote wisely and or don't check our leaders' work, our taxes and government debt can and have been misused. So that's Mburu Kuria pointing the finger back to the government for the current economic situation and, of course, what he's facing in terms of sustaining himself from the kind of hard work that he's putting in the economy. I'm reading more sentiments from you guys, so keep sending in your comments. Activating your greatness. Unleashing the 7 secrets of creativity, impact, and monetization. I'm having this workbook and also having another one here, 51 powerful P's of public speaking. Public speaking is like what I'm doing here for 3 hours every single Tuesday morning. So we'll get to know if I have, how many of these P's do I have so far and how powerful I can get. And also another one that I'll allow our guests to, of course, introduce to us a bit later. But I'm joined here by Dr. Crystal Lynn Richardson. I think you saw her video in just a few minutes past, and speaking about her book launch and, of course, the kind of network that she's exposing you to and what insights she has for you to activate your greatness. I won't be speaking much about it because she knows more than I do, so let me just introduce her and then we can dive more into this conversation. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right? It's a pleasure to be here again.
Again, yes, on KUTV.
Yeah, welcome to my show.
Thank you.
It's happy to have you here. I also love that we kind of share a name, Richardson.
We do.
Richard, I'm the son Richard and you're Richardson. Yeah, so how is it in Kenya so far?
Well, it's been phenomenal. Okay. The family here, I'll say, not the people, but the family here has just been amazing. I've been to Kenya before years ago, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, and various places that I've done medical genetic research missions, and also I'm an ordained minister, and so we've done ministry, teaching dance, music, preaching, and all of that. So I love every time I come here, and this time has just been really amazing.
Yeah. Have you used the expressway?
Yes.
You've seen the infrastructure is improved since, I'm guessing, the time that you were here last.
It has. But we've been on some of the rocky roads too. So you have to hold on to your seat. But it's good. It's all
good. It's good to have a perspective of both worlds.
Right.
That's really important. Before we came on, you told me that somehow your work also builds up to what the gentlemen who are on air were talking about. That is the STEM courses and also STEM disciplines. Maybe just to tie it down from that conversation and then we come back to here. How is that? How can we plug this greatness to STEM and then we can get to introduce you and your work?
Definitely. So I'll just also kind of say a little bit about who I am, and then I'll go into the STEM part. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So my name is Crystal Richardson, and I am from Arizona in the United States. And when I was on before, I just talked about the fact that I was a little girl that believed in the dream that my mother and father told me, that I can be anything I want to be and I can do anything I want to do. So when I went to kindergarten with my little plastic briefcase, I wasn't sure at that time that I was going to go into engineering, but my brother and I would make things and unmake things. He would make toys from my toys, take the motor out, and I would take some things out and make things from his. And so I guess I was doing science, technology, engineering, math at that time too, as a child. Yeah, early. So always had a tech kind of mindset. And so with that, there's been a lot of opportunities that have been afforded to me over my 58 years. I'll just get that out.
You're 58 years?
Almost 59.
You don't look a day past 35.
Thank you very much.
Whoa.
But over all of those years, I've been to about 36 different countries and doing various things in science, technology, engineering, math, innovation, ministry, biotech, and various areas of business. And so when I say on here, you know, activating your greatness and unleashing these various secrets, it's something that I do have a little bit of knowledge on related to myself, as well as my multi-million-dollar and billionaire network, because I've had various radio shows, TV shows with lots of really great people on that have a high net worth, but not just that. They're good people that have really great give back models. And so that is one of the unleashing of greatness has to do with how you give back.
Right. Now you're here for a book tour and of course culminating into a book launch. So how has that been going so far? What is happening within this book launch? Which book are we actually launching here? Because I'm seeing two and another one
I
right
launched Richard, I launched both of them. So Activating Your Greatness and the 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking. So I haven't even done the full launch in America yet. I came here first. So this is the first that a lot of people actually have seen the book and the books. And so they basically do go hand in hand, because in order to unleash your greatness, there's various principles we'll talk about when we get into the actual interview. But part of that is you can do almost anything you want to do in life if you have good public speaking skills, because you exude confidence, right? And people are attracted to that, and then they'll listen more if you're able to explain yourself. So the 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking really does go with activating your greatness.
Right. Now let's activate that greatness right away. And here you're saying that there are secrets towards creativity, impact, and monetization. You being an international wealth innovation strategist, I'm guessing that there's a lot of tips in here towards growing my wealth and innovation in that direction. How is that looking like when once someone picks this book? Let's begin with it, the Activating Your Greatness. Once I pick this book and I have it towards the end, this is the workbook you said.
Right.
So there's
a full manuscript.
There's a full, right. So once I have those two, what do I expect to have gained by the end of the journey with them?
Well, at the end of the journey, but even at the beginning.
Okay.
So it opens up and it talks about the word that I recently, I think it's been 5 days now, had the opening ceremony, the ceremony related to a word that I got trademarked with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's about a 2-year process to do something like that. And so the word is right here on my shirt. It's innovology. And I have a shirt for you as
thank
well.
you.
Yeah, a shirt and the host from earlier. But it's innovology. So it's the manifestation of creative thought in motion. The manifestation of creative thought in motion. And so in order to activate your greatness, in order to activate your leadership and your monetization in anything in life, your mind has to be in motion. And when your mind is in motion and you understand how to put your thoughts together in a way that you can come up with plans, put those plans in place, and then there's a whole number of steps that are in the book related to even remaining state of the art. Like, how do you do that? The book goes into how you activate your mind and keep your mind in motion in order to do those things. And so it's a methodology, and once you learn it, especially at this age, then the possibilities are endless.
Innovology.
Innovology.
Right. I like it. It sounds very smooth rolling off my tongue.
Yeah. Oh, good. I liked hearing you. Say it again.
Innovology.
Oh, that was great.
Right. So here, as you said, of course, you're getting it not just at the end of it, also from the beginning. I'm seeing step one here is recognizing the global opportunity. How do I recognize a global opportunity?
Yeah, so one of the things that we need to do even before that, of which, there's a few things that are in the book before that step, is that we need to have a decision. We need to decide. So there's various ways that I teach this and that I have taught this, where there's 5 different D's. And so one is discernment and decide. You have to make a decision that you're going to use your mind in this way. And then when we look at recognizing the global opportunity, a lot of people, even if they have a great idea, they may unleash it or put it out in the world, but only in their community or in their village or in their state or even in their country. There are so many more opportunities if you already have your mind set that you're going to go global.
so that you get to recognize that and put out your work all the way out there.
Right.
So you said that it's also important that this is also, put in and embedded within the schools. How does that process look like? How do we get to enable students activate their greatness while still pursuing academic courses?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're doing now, I've had a program 5 years ago that I ran for 3 years called Echelon Leadership Institute in America at my community center. And when COVID hit, I stopped doing the in-person sessions. And because I had ties in Ghana and various other places, Ghana, Zambia, and in the UK, I launched it with those particular countries. And so what happened there was we had over 50 students that were in what is now called Next Gen Innovators. Next Gen Innovators. So we want to have where we're putting this program of having this thought process and how you use this to activate your life and activate your monetization. We want to do that by putting innovology centers of excellence inside of schools so that they can have actual school credit.
Okay.
And so it's not on top of what they're doing as an extra burden. It is actually within. And so we are looking to partner with high schools and universities, colleges here in Kenya first for the brick and mortar part of what we're doing with it. It's called ICE because it's Innovology Centers of Excellence, ICE.
Okay.
And so with what is already here, Richard, for the Innovation School, we are looking to have where we have communication with the administration and roll this out here and at other universities that we already have lined up to have some talks with.
All right, great. There are also 5 areas that I saw there when your video, of course, has been playing there, and our viewers have gotten some bit of information from that. One of them I saw there was monetization and leadership as well. Could you speak about those 5 areas? What are they and how critical are they?
Yes, and so everything that I talk about and do is related to innovation, and so innovation basically covers our whole life. We are all creative. And one of the things that I say is creativity breeds creativity. Because even if you're in the kitchen cooking up a recipe, and then you cook up another recipe and another recipe, you start having all of these ideas where maybe I could mix this in or mix that in. And then you're looking around in the kitchen and there may be something that you need to do better mixing that you don't have. And it's like, well, maybe I could make a mixer. And so you look at it that way. But I was bullied when I was in elementary school. And so I immersed myself into my studies and into music and into dance. And so with all of those areas, I started being just more and more creative and doing well and excelling. And then I was at the top of my class or at the top of the band or all of that based on immersing myself, and that caused more bullying. But I'm saying what I'm saying to say that once you start creating in one area, you can do better in your life in another area and in another area.
It's like you said, a ball
area.
rolling.
It's just a ball rolling. And so I did well in dance. I did well in music. I did well in school and making toys with my brother. And so that kind of launched my engineering career. And so all of those things, when I'm saying I'm going back to being a child, is to have children, youth, young adults such as yourself think about all of the things that you do and how you could be creative in those areas. And so I make my own clothes. I make my own jewelry. This is one of pairs of earrings that I made.
Oh, wow.
I make business plans. I have various ways that I can monetize, and that's called Element 10.
Right.
So the 5 areas that you're talking about, the monetization one is called Element 10 because I believe that every single person on this earth should have 10 sustainable and substantial streams of income at any one time.
10?
So, 10.
Okay.
Yes, and that doesn't mean 10 jobs, Richard. It means
because I was going to say I'm sending out applications after this.
No, not 10 jobs, not 10 jobs. It's monetization. It's streams of income. So have you heard of the cash flow quadrant before?
I'm hearing it for the first time.
Okay. And so in the cash flow quadrant, and hopefully all of our listeners are listening to this too, and look it up. Google it, look it up. It'll change your life. So most people stay in the employment portion of the quadrant as opposed to starting their own business. And then when you start your own business, the other part is where you don't work in your business, you systematize everything so that you can stand back and have other people work in your business because everything is proceduralized. And then the other part, and the last part of the quadrant, has to do with investing. So you start on the left as an employee, but then you say, okay, I have all of these creative ideas from a child. There were different things that I could do, growing up. And so that's why I like to start with the young people, is to have where you don't have to work for someone else. You can go to the second part of the quadrant and start your own business, but you don't have to stay there. You can go to the third part and systematize, so have people work for you. And then you don't have to stay there. You can also have where you have investments. So working in that triangle of not being an employee, but owning your own business, systematizing, and investing, you can get up to 10 pretty easy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's part of what I teach, is how to do that.
So is employment the problem here?
And employment is not a problem because you have to start somewhere, and then you use that money as an employee to save it so that you can invest it and use it to grow your credentials. So that's another thing that I talk about in there. I have all of these little square boxes that you saw throughout the book, and one of them does have to do with building your credibility with getting certified, getting accredited. So that's another thing that I believe, that everyone should always be getting some kind of certification or accreditation.
All right. Here you say that it's possible to also have this integrated, of course, within a business, or if it's an organization like ours here, there's a way to use these secrets of creativity, impact, and monetization. Maybe just for a business person who's watching, how can they effectively use this book for their own prosperity?
Yeah, so it goes step by step in the workbook, and then the full transcript actually has like various stories, not just about my life, but other people that I've interviewed. I mentioned my multimillionaire and billionaire alliance. So it gives a lot of the lessons on how you can not just have a business plan, but have the best business plan related to your niche. And part of the thing that I really want to make sure that people understand is it's not just putting the plan together. A lot of people have plans, but they don't necessarily know a lot about the various types of risks that are related to your business. So there's another whole portion of what I do that deal with about 32 different areas of risk. And some people don't even have like one risk outlined in their business plan.
Wow.
So again, there's a lot of these different techniques. They're all meshed together. And when you do the beginning of this, if like in a curriculum here at the university, it's about a 9-week course of a couple of hours twice a week, where you can get some of the initial information and start monetization right away.
All right, so that's why, it comes in when you were talking about it can be within the school curriculum. If someone learns this within the course load, it's still going to be impactful for them.
Well, it'll be impactful even before they graduate. They'll be able to start monetization.
Yeah.
And part of it has to do with the 51 powerful Ps.
And that's what I want us to move into, because I see here we are short of time. It's 9:52 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And we have like 3 minutes before this show is cut off air. So maybe speak about a bit about the 51 powerful Ps of public speaking. What do I have to look forward to this, and how does it build up to the skin cancer recognition and diagnosis movement?
Yes. So here on the front, it says impactful and actionable tips for any speaking engagement. So when we think about public speaking, a lot of people think about what you're doing right now, right? And this book also talks about if you want to have better communication with your family, if you want to have where you need to do a presentation at your job, or talking about monetization again, Richard, having where you are able to speak effectively during a board meeting or an investment meeting. You want people to invest in your business, right? You want to do a pitch. So that teaches you how to do that as well. And so, Lovely.
Are these books going to be available in bookshops, or if people want to get to them, how do they?
Yes, the 51 Powerful P's is already available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble in the United States, and then other international platforms, plus my website, crystalrichardson.com. My name might be on the screen somewhere for people to see. crystalrichardson.com, there's a link for that book. And then the Activating Your Greatness will be available starting next month in March.
Pricing details?
Yeah, they can get that on the, they can
Okay.
get that on the site.
So ensure you check it out on Amazon and also on her website,
Yes.
crystalrichardson.com. How does it build up to this before maybe we get a last word from you?
Yes, yes. So in all of the different things I do, I mentioned I work a lot in business, but also in healthcare and biotech. So one of the newer initiatives is related to skin cancer recognition and diagnosis. So what we're doing in this particular thing is having where we're helping people to understand that within 30 seconds, if they go through this program with us, within 30 seconds you would be able to diagnose someone with skin cancer.
Okay.
Because there's 2 people that die every single hour from skin cancer, as opposed to lung cancer and breast cancer, other things that people think are higher numbers potentially. Skin cancer is one of the worst.
Okay.
And so we're getting the information out related to that and helping people to be able to diagnose it themselves and then go to the dermatologist with information, because information is power.
Okay, this is really diverse. It's really diverse, the range of places that you've been able to get your hand reached to, from monetization to leadership to healthcare, and also saw a Bible verse in here. So I think even including the ministry and engineering, that's it's a lot to get to talk about here, but I'm happy we've been able to maybe highlight some of the important ones during this book launch tour that you're doing.
It's all related to innovation.
Right, definitely. So if people would like to reach out to you, I'm definitely sure that it's within the website, so they can be checking out.
crystalrichardson.com.
Okay. And the last word towards Kenyans as you're doing this tour. And next up, I think you said you're going to the UK?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe for someone who's traveling to the UK, where can they get you if they land there while you're still around?
Certainly. I'll be at the University of Birmingham on the 13th doing some speaking to, actually one of my students that's in Next Gen Innovators is collecting students together for some talks there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Crystal Lynn Richardson. Any last word?
Yeah, I'll be speaking here, I believe it's on Wednesday, here at Kenyatta University. And so I would love to have the students come out, and some of the other things that I'll be doing will be live streamed. But the main thing I want to say is that creativity breeds creativity, and you can monetize your strengths. You just have to know how to do it. So I'm happy to help.
Okay. Make sure that you're showing up at Kenyatta University grounds for the students who are currently watching, and then get to hear more of what we couldn't cover here on this brief time that we had on the show. And also get yourself a copy of this. I think I'll be looking for this one especially.
I'll sign one for you.
Thank you very much. You spoke about speaking to family members. I think I am excelling in public speaking on TV, but at home it's not looking good. So I'm hoping I can get to translate this to my family. Thank you very much for creating time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So for all those who've been tuning in as well, thank you for your time. At KUTV Kenya, we'll be continuing with the broadcast. So tune into the rest of the programming, primetime news, and also the other shows. Next week on Tuesday, I'll be back here on KUTV Rise. Today's Biashara Tuesday. On Monday, you get Karen Blessing on Art and Culture Monday before I come through to close up on that next day. As I always say, if you want to have breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen. I'll see you.